Good morning to you. Good day to you. Welcome back to the Bernie Show here on Sports Hub STL, my wonderful new home. And I can't thank you enough for your generous support of my early Bernie Show videos. You know, when you kind of switch things around, I had my own YouTube channel. I had started in August and it had continued up until my first day here. And, I always wonder if the people that subscribe to me at my YouTube channel would find me at my new home. And the answer is yes. And I'm really, really grateful. So it sounds corny, but I mean it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I never take that kind of support for granted. And don't forget, you can find my videos and my written columns at sportshubstl.com. Let's begin today. Opening day is just about here, and it's always a wonderful day in St. Louis. It's always a great day in St. Louis. It's a reason to celebrate, even if the team is down. We'll have the Red Jackets. We'll have the procession of the Cardinals players and coaches and manager and everyone else, going around the ring at Busch Stadium in those trucks, and the organ will be playing. And I mean, just amazing stuff. It's one of the great annual scenes in not just St. Louis, but really on the United States sports calendar. I mean, opening day in St. Louis is a big deal. I'll talk more about that tomorrow, I'm sure. So anyway, let's begin with what I want to talk about because it's very much related to opening day in St. Louis. So on the eve of the opening day, I have a question. And my question is not about how many games the Cardinals are going to win. How much of a shot do they have to make the playoffs? Do they have a shot? Can they surprise us? Can they come out of nowhere and defy all the expectations? No, that's not the question. My question isn't about attendance or another anticipated decline in home attendance. It isn't about Ali Marmol's future as manager. It isn't about the possibility of John Mozeliak and his final season, trading Nolan Arenado, or maybe Eric Fedde, or maybe Ryan Helsley, or maybe all three. Nope, that's not the question I had in mind. Here is my question. Where have all the stars gone? It's as simple as that. Where have all the stars gone? First of all, it depends on how we define the word star. Give you an example. As much as we like shortstop Mason Wynn, and we like him a lot, he's still just 23, entering his second full season. He's still in the process of trying to reach kind of elite status within the sport. I think he can get there, but again, let's not put this on him and just sort of force it that, oh, he's the star. He's not to the point where it's like people are going to, who were sort of sitting out Cardinals baseball because they've been disillusioned. Like, he's not, with all due respect to him, he's not a singular reason why people say, oh, let's go down there. I know I'm mad at the Cardinals, but I really want to see Mason win. That I don't mean to slight him. That's not my point at all. I think you know where I'm coming from on this. And same with Nolan Arenado. As much as we respect his esteemed career, most of his big years, and he became a big star with the Colorado Rockies. And he had a good first season, a great second season. He's kind of been on the downside since then, 23 and 24. And he's still a guy who's an important player in the major leagues, but it's not what I'm talking about when I say, where have all the stars gone? Nato, for all of the things we appreciate about him, he is in the decline phase of his career. Ryan Helsley is an all-star closer. Sure, he was one of the 2 or 3 best closers in baseball last season, but we're not talking about him. Again, all due respect, we're not talking about him as a potential Cooperstown Hall of Famer. And let's face it, Helsley's time remaining with the Cardinals is short. He'll either be traded during the season or he will leave as a free agent next offseason. As a general principle, just because a player makes the National League All-Star team, it doesn't make him a true star in terms of the context of the magnitude of stars the Cardinals have had during their incredible history. Like, for example, recent Cardinals who were selected to the National League All-Star team include Aledmys Diaz in 2016, Paul DeJong in 2019, Alex Reyes in 2021, and Miles Michaelis in 2022. Now, I don't mean to be sarcastic or nasty. I'm just saying, good for them, but we don't see any greatness on that list of names. We don't see any luminaries. I don't see anyone named Pujols or Molina or Wainwright, right? And that's not fair to them, but I'm just saying. So again, where are the stars? I think it's interesting to just sort of sit back and absorb the greatness of this franchise in terms of their illustrious history and the incredible star power they've had since the beginning. The Cardinals have been loaded with a remarkable collection of legends, icons, Cooperstown Hall of Famers, Cardinals Hall of Famers, MVPs, Cy Young Award winners, batting champions, record holders, managers of the year, all-time greats. The Cardinals have been, it's no hyperbole, and I know people are down on the franchise right now. I get it. But this has been one of the great franchises, not just in baseball, but one of the great franchises in the United States sports history for an obvious reason. The Cardinals have been propelled by so many extraordinary players that reach the highest level of individual acclaim while also leading the Redbirds to pennants, World Series, baseball glory. Those are the men that built what the Cardinals became and what the Cardinals sustained for a remarkably long period of time. This has been the franchise of Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, Ozzie Smith, Lou Brock, Rogers Hornsby, Dizzy Dean, and Albert Pujols, and Yadier Molina, and Enos Slaughter, and Red Schoendienst, and Scott Rowland, and Johnny Mize, and Joe Medwick, and Bruce Sutter. It's been the franchise of Ted Simmons, Sonny Jim Bottomley, Frankie Frisch, Chick Hafey, Pop Haynes, Orlando Cepeda. There have been revered Hall of Fame managers that led the Cardinals to all kinds of success. Billy Southworth, Whitey Herzog, Tony La Russa, and the beloved redhead, Red Schoendienst. Branch Rickey, arguably the most influential front office executive in the history of the sport, was the creator of the modern farm system, among other things. And of course, he did that here in St. Louis before he moved on to Brooklyn. And he integrated Major League Baseball by signing Jackie Robinson. Branch Rickey will always be known as a Cardinal, and certainly that affiliation with Jackie Robinson gives him added prestige, maybe the top of the line prestige in his career. The Cardinals have been the franchise of many distinguished players who weren't inducted into Cooperstown, but could have been or should have been, depending on where you see them. That list, I think, would be topped by Ken Boyer. It would include Jim Edmonds, Roger Maris, Mark McGwire, Keith Hernandez. You can disagree with that. I'm just putting some names out there that kind of close, but not into Cooperstown type guys. And Jim Edmonds in particular really got shortchanged. Anyway, think about it. Heck, the Cy Young Award, right? Well, heck, Cy Young himself pitched for the Cardinals. There were future Hall of Famers that gained more fame and acclaim elsewhere, but they started out as Cardinals, or they spent a number of meaningful years here. That would include a roll call of Steve Carlton, Dennis Eckersley, Larry Walker, Lee Smith, Joe Torre, Dick Allen, and I know I'm forgetting someone. And even if a Cardinal didn't rise to the level of a Cooperstown Hall of Famer, they still brought a lot of star power or an elevated status to the field. I was thinking about this early this morning, and I'm referring to guys who are members of the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame, or they will be as soon as they're eligible. We're talking about Wainwright, Chris Carpenter, Vince Coleman, Ray Lankford, Willie McGee, Tim McCarver, Matt Holliday, Matt Carpenter, Matt Morrison, Jason Isringhausen. There's others, but you get my point. Listen, Carlos Beltran it looks like the early voting for the Hall of Fame. He's on a trajectory to reach Cooperstown. And don't forget, he gave the Cardinals 2 great seasons, and he was a main reason why they won the National League pennant in 2013, and they haven't done that since. Listen, one of my personal favorites, and yours, Jack Clark. He's not in the Cardinals Hall of Fame, but this doesn't mean he wasn't a big star. He was a big star during his time here. His booming, power-hitting presence beckoned fans to the ballpark. He was among many reasons during that time to come watch the Cardinals do their thing during the Whitey Ball era. And listen, a big part of the Cardinals' rich history is the Hall of Fame broadcasters. they've been as big a part of this as just about anybody. You know, we can start and stop with the names Jack Buck, Harry Carey, Mike Shannon, Joe Garagiola, Joe Buck. My goodness, these gentlemen enhanced generations of summers for St. Louis baseball fans. And listen, a tip of the cap to John Rooney, because he's also one of my favorites, and he's maintaining that tradition of excellent broadcasters in the booth for Cardinals baseball. And again, I've missed some names here, and I didn't intend to slight or overlook anyone. I do apologize, but good gracious, that's the point, right? There have been so many stars, it's difficult to cite them all. I mean, you would have to almost turn it into a research project to get every name that is worthy of recognition. The Cardinals also can claim, as many of you probably know, but I'm going to update it for you, they can claim a truly remarkable streak. Assuming that Pujols and Molina get into Cooperstown, the Cardinals have had a Hall of Famer in uniform as a pitcher, position player, or manager from 1915. That was Rogers Hornsby's first year. A Hall of Famer in uniform in an active, important role from 1915 through 2022. There weren't any Hall of Famers, for example, we're talking about players from 1998 through 2000, but La Russa was the manager. And listen, man, that counts. The man ranked second in Major League history for most career wins regular season by a manager, and he stacked up more than 1,400 of them here. And as the Cardinals manager, he also had 50 postseason victories and 2 World Series championships. And TLR, like the great Whitey Herzog, was a big star in his own right. So yeah, they go on that Hall of Famer list. Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado each have a good chance of being voted into Cooperstown one day when they're eligible. Maybe it won't happen right away, but I think they got a chance, a good chance. Goldie spent 6 seasons here, and Arenado will make his 5th consecutive opening day start for the Cardinals on Thursday. So what I'm trying to say is that this Hall of Fame presence that has been on a Cardinals team from 1915 through 2022, I mean, that's ridiculous, right? But Goldie and Arenado can actually extend that, because if they both get in the Hall of Fame, then we can say the streak of having a Hall of Famer in uniform consecutively would go from 1915 through 2025. Now think about that, right? That is just, I don't even know the word. I said ridiculous. It's preposterous. It blows your mind, actually. As you can tell, I'm reaching for words. It's been just an amazing litany of success and achievement, and huge names that have done huge things. But you probably know where I'm going now. The luster has been fading. And I'll use, just for a symbolic example, I'll use the All-Star game, right? Now listen to these numbers carefully. From 2010 through 2015, the Cardinals had 30 players, 30, chosen as National League All-Stars during the 6 seasons. 30. That's an average of 5 All-Stars per year. And I thought maybe we ought to include 2009, because they had a few All-Stars that year too, maybe 3. If we include 2009, the Cardinals have averaged 4.7 All-Star selections over a 7-season period. That is really impressive. Now, this is also more impressive if we break it down just a little. The Cardinals had 6 players chosen for the All-Star game in 2012 and 2013 and 2015. They had 5 chosen in 2010, and there were 4 Cardinals All-Stars in 2014. I mean, that any way you want to cut that up, and I know sometimes guys that get voted or select the All-Star game may not 100% deserve it, and we also know that sometimes, every team's got to have a representative and all that. But think about those numbers. 5 All-Stars, an average of 5 All-Stars over 6 years, an average of 4.7 All-Stars over 7 years. In the aftermath of that cavalcade of stars, the Cardinals have averaged only 2.1 All-Stars per game since 2016. and they've had only one all-star picked in 3 of the last 4 years. My friends, I think the word for this is drought, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff you expect to see, from the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Seattle Mariners, the recent vintage of the Anaheim Angels. You know what I'm saying? This is beneath the Cardinals standards. It really is. And it does explain some things, because when the star power, the collective star power, is in decline, it's obviously a factor in falling attendance, because one of the things you want as a fan, and the Cardinals fans are very loyal, even if they're sort of down on the team right now, they're still going to have, it won't be the same attendance, but they're still going to have really good attendance. And yeah, winning teams do that. And winning teams over a long time built that kind of equity, and they build that kind of support. They take it to a new level. But they win a lot of games, regular season and postseason. But one of the reasons, obviously, they win so many games is because winning teams attract more fans, and more fans means more revenue and more that the Cardinals can do. And you have to have a lot of great players to have all this sustained success. But again, the star power is fading. So the Cardinals in 24 became the first team to sell under 3 million tickets to home games since 2003. And last season, the Cardinals had the lowest average home attendance since Busch Stadium opened in 2006. But just to give you an example of what a great baseball town it still is, the Cardinals were still 7th in major leagues in terms of tickets sold to home games last year. In fact, they sold more tickets to home games than I think 7 teams that made the playoffs. They sold more tickets than the New York Mets, for example, and they're spending all the money that a man can have. So let's move this forward. Where will the new true star talents come from? It's a heck of a question. It ain't an easy question to answer, which also tells us something. Hey, maybe it will be Mason Wynn. Give him time. Give him time. I think his best is yet to come. But, other than guys like Ken Griffey, for example, you don't walk into the big leagues and from day one you're a superstar and nationally famous and all that. Hey, maybe it'll be JJ Weatherholt. That's not fair to him, but let's face it, we are anticipating the arrival of JJ Weatherholt. He was the 7th overall pick in the 2024 draft, and it looks like the Cardinals are accelerating his trajectory to the majors because he's going to start this season at AA Springfield. You have left-handed starting pitcher Quinn Matthews, plenty of talent. Minor league pitcher of the year last year by Baseball America. And there's a lot of great young pitchers in the minor leagues making their way to the majors. So Quinn Matthews has got the talent and he's got the enormous potential. You have to look at him. And I'm going to say this. Jordan Walker last year was a disaster and his spring training wasn't so good this year. But it's utterly premature to dismiss Jordan Walker as a candidate for stardom because, man, he won't even be 23 years old until May the 22nd of this year. And if he can work some things out, he's got a really high ceiling, to say the least. But it's a downtime for the Cardinals. I was talking with my friend and Cardinal Territory. She's the host of Cardinal Territory, and I joined her a couple times a week for those videos, part of the Foul Territory Network. And we were talking about this briefly. And as Katie said, and she was absolutely right, she said, of course, Cardinals fans know all the players, even if they're a little upset with the team and where it's going or where it's been the last couple of years. But Cardinals fans obviously know who all the players are. She said, but, if you think about from a national perspective and you think about how the Cardinals had all these name brand players that everybody knew anywhere where baseball fans exist. She made the point, it's sad to say, but there's probably a lot of places right now that really haven't heard of anybody wearing a Cardinals uniform other than maybe Arenado and maybe just a little bit Mason Wynn, Sonny Gray, but there's no longer that national recognition of Cardinals players. They have, I'm not going to say they're invisible, but it's not like the old days, right? So yeah, this is kind of the state of the franchise. Since 2000, this is the other thing too. And I really don't mean to be a bummer here. I swear. I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm not. But I think as each year begins, it's kind of important for me anyway, because being around so long, I do have historical perspective. I mean, I first started writing about Cardinals baseball and doing some stuff on KMOX back in 1985. Yeah, that's why I call myself an old goat now. I have been continuously writing and talking and podcasting and doing videos, whatever, on the Cardinals since 1989. So I've seen a lot. I've been privileged to see some incredible baseball with incredible players and sustained success. And the Cardinals, even with the downtime, listen, since Bill DeWitt Jr. became the owner, they're fourth in, and that's 29 seasons ago. This will be his 30th season starting Thursday. Still fourth in the major leagues in regular season wins over that time. And they still lead the National League in postseason victories. The Dodgers are right on them, but the Cardinals still have the most postseason victories by a National League team since the start of the 1996 season. So that's also a reminder that, yeah, we don't have to like what's been going on, but let's not act like the Cardinals have been some kind of disgrace for 10 years or 15 years or something, right? I mean, our friends over in Kansas City, I'm going to screw this up, but they've made the postseason like 3 or 4 times in the last 36 years. And if I'm off by that a little bit, it's just a little bit. And that's making a point. Yeah, the Cardinals need to do better. Ownership needs to do better. The front office, starting next year with Chaim Bloom running things, they need to do better. They have a high standard and they have failed to uphold it. And part of the high standard is the reasons why the Cardinals fans have supported them so generously. I don't blame anybody for being disillusioned. But again, I like to say this, and I think a perspective check is necessary from time to time. As disappointing as it has been in recent years, this is not a baseball hellscape, okay? I mean, can we just be a little realistic and rational? It's not a hellscape, all right? It's not like the baseball equivalent of, like, you know, a Mad Max movie, you know, barren earth, everything destroyed. We're back to the primitive day. I mean, come on. But yeah, if you're a little salty about Cardinals baseball, I don't blame you. Listen, man, I've been criticizing them a lot. I've been down on a lot of things, but I'm just trying to sort of give it some perspective. And so this is kind of my pre-opening day state of the franchise video, let's say. I don't want to call it address because then it makes me sound important, and I'm not important. But to get back to the state of the franchise and the drop in attendance and the loss of star power, there's also been a very human loss of star power and immortal players. We've lost the actual human beings that did all of these incredible things. Since 2013, we've lost Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Red Shandies, Whitey Herzog, Bruce Sutter, Mike Shannon, Tim McCarver. And those guys were, most of those guys were like just so front and center for decades in you know, as living legends at the ballpark all the time, at opening day all the time, on the Cooperstown stage, representing the Cardinals all those summers. And yeah, none of us are going to live forever. A lot of us ain't going to live as long as we hope to. But the point is, when you see so many of the all-time great Cardinals pass away over the last 12 years or so, it really kind of hits you. It kind of hits you in the heart, kind of hits you in the soul a little bit. It's inevitable but that doesn't mean we shouldn't sort of note the sadness that comes with that. So, my friends, when the distinguished Red Jackets take the field on opening day, and there are still some great players and some fan favorites and people worthy of our celebration and admiration and joy, We will treasure their presence. It's, to me, the highlight of opening day. It is always great to see them. It will be especially great to see them because, as I said, they're still here and they're to be really appreciated because we have so many friends, so many legends who are missing. And the younger Cardinals, who are Cardinals Hall of Famers and red jacket wearers, they are absolutely a reason for smiles, warm hearts, and celebration. It's a day where you put aside your feelings about your anger, your disgust, whatever level of frustration you're experiencing in terms of the Cardinals' state of the team on the field. The Red Jackets are a reason for us to smile and just remember the glory of what this franchise has represented going back to the early 1900s, right? So the Red Jackets that we'll see tomorrow, they not only remind us of the revered past, they also serve another purpose. They make us wish and hope for better days. And let's hope that ownership and management will do their part to make that happen as soon as possible. Wow. I mean, I just putting this piece together, just going through all of those names. And again, I probably omitted somebody by mistake. I thought it was important to read all those names in different categories because generations of Cardinals fans have been very, very fortunate, even if it's a little bit of a bitter time right now. The history is unmatched by few franchises in the history of professional sports in North America, right? So that'll do it today. Don't forget to subscribe to The Bernie Show. Thanks for watching. And please subscribe specifically to all the videos that you'll see on this site. You go to youtube.com at SportsHub, STLOU, at SportsHub St. Louis. We'll be back later in the day, a couple hours with a column at SportsHubSTL.com. And again, I really, really thank you for your support. Take care. We'll be back tomorrow with another video here on The Bernie Show.